Welcome back. I appreciate every one of you for watching. If you enjoy these stories, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. It really helps. Now let's dive into this shocking story. Part 1. The affair that changed everything. I never thought my life would turn out like this. I had it all. A wonderful wife, 4 amazing daughters, and a stable life built over decades. My wife and I had been together since we were kids, growing up side by side, sharing every milestone. She was my best friend, my partner, my everything. But I threw it all away. I met Emma, a young woman half my age, when she came to work as my secretary at the small business my wife had helped me start. She was beautiful, confident, and for some reason, she was interested in me. Me, a middle-aged man with a predictable life. I should have seen the red flags. She was persistent, always flirting, always looking for moments to be alone with me. And I let it happen. One mistake turned into another, and before I knew it, we were having an affair. When my wife found out, my world imploded. She didn't scream. She didn't beg. She just looked at me, with the kind of disappointment that cut deeper than any words. That night, she packed a bag, took our daughters, and walked out of the home we had built together. I told myself I had made my choice, that I had to see this through. But deep down, I knew. I had made the biggest mistake of my life. Part 2. The consequences come crashing down. Emma was pregnant. When she told me, I felt my stomach drop. It wasn't excitement. It wasn't joy. It was pure dread. My wife and daughters cut me off completely. They wanted nothing to do with me. I lost my house. My business collapsed without my wife's financial support, and I found myself living in a tiny, run-down apartment with a woman who saw me as nothing more than a failed investment. She had expected luxury, a life of comfort and wealth. But the truth? Everything we had belonged to my wife's family. Emma thought she had trapped a rich man. Instead, she was stuck with someone who had lost everything. And that's when she changed. She stopped pretending to love me. The warmth disappeared overnight. She no longer touched me, no longer cared to even pretend we were in love. The only thing keeping her here was our son. I hated her for it. But I hated myself more. Part 3. A father's worst nightmare. I tried reaching out to my daughters. First, it was silence. Then the messages came cold, filled with anger and betrayal. You destroyed our family. You are dead to us. I hope you're happy with your new life. But the one that hurt the most came from my eldest daughter. I will never forgive you, and your son will never be our brother. I tried to tell them I still loved them, that I had made a mistake, but it didn't matter. My family was gone. Part 4. Left with nothing. Then, Emma left. She packed her things and moved back to her home country. No warning. No goodbye. She left our son behind, like he was nothing more than an inconvenience. For a brief moment, I was relieved. At least I had him. At least I hadn't lost everything. But the reality was much harsher. I was a single father in my 40s, raising a child alone with no support, no family, and no way to fix what I had destroyed. Then, another blow came. A letter written by my daughters. It wasn't a letter of forgiveness. It was a final goodbye. They told me that my ex-wife had remarried, that they now had a new father figure, someone who had been in their lives for years, someone who had been there for them while I was chasing my selfish desires. And then, the final words that shattered me. We don't need you. Don't ever contact us again. They even sent pictures from the wedding. Smiling. Happy. A family that no longer included me. I stared at the photos for hours. This was the life I had thrown away. Part 5. Is redemption even possible? I wake up every morning wondering if I can fix this. I take care of my son, knowing that one day he'll ask me about his mother, about the family I lost. What will I tell him? That his father was weak? That I was selfish? That I gave up everything for a fantasy that turned into a nightmare? I hold on to the hope that one day, my daughters will forgive me, that they will understand that I was just a man who made the worst mistake of his life and has spent every day regretting it. But maybe they never will, and if they don't, then I have truly lost everything. Part 6. The weight of regret. Every morning, I wake up to the same suffocating silence. My son is too young to understand the wreckage of my life, and yet, he's the only thing keeping me afloat. But even as I hold him, I wonder, will he hate me too one day? Because how do you explain to a child that their very existence was born out of betrayal? That his mother used him as a ticket to a better life, only to abandon him when the illusion shattered? That his father, me, was a selfish, weak man who threw away the people who mattered most? I used to believe in second chances. Now, I wonder if some sins are too great to be forgiven. Part 7. The letter I never sent. I've rewritten it 1,000 times. A letter to my daughters. I know they don't want to hear from me. They made that clear. But a father shouldn't just disappear. Should he? So I write, and I rewrite, and I never send a single word. Dear girls, I know you hate me. I know I deserve it. I know you don't want to hear from me. But if there's even the smallest part of you that wonders if I regret it, if I miss you, let me tell you I do. Every single day. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I'll always be here if you ever decide you want to talk. Even if it's just to yell at me. I love you. I never stopped. But I fold the letter and put it away, because I know it won't change anything. Part 8. A chance encounter. One evening I took my son to the park. It was late, the sun dipping low, casting long shadows. And then I saw her, my eldest daughter. She was across the park, sitting on a bench with a group of friends, laughing, smiling, a sight I hadn't seen in years. I felt frozen in place. Should I go to her? Say something? But before I could move, she turned her head and saw me. For a brief second, her face went blank. Then, pure disgust. She stood up, said something to her friends, and walked away. She didn't run. She didn't cry. She just left, like I was nothing more than a stranger on the street. And in that moment, I realized the truth. I was a stranger to her now. Part 9. A father without a family. I don't know how long I stood there, staring at the empty bench where she had just been. I barely noticed my son tugging on my sleeve, asking if we could go home. For the first time since this all started, I let myself fully break. I had spent years trying to convince myself that there was still a way back. That time would heal the wounds. That one day they'd understand. But that moment in the park told me everything I needed to know. My daughters had moved on. Without me. Part 10. The final choice. I have two options now. I can keep chasing ghosts, clinging to a past that will never come back. Or I can be the father my son deserves. He didn't ask for this life. He didn't ask for the baggage I carry. He didn't ask to be born into a broken family. But he's here. And if I can't fix the past, maybe I can make damn sure I don't repeat it. Part 11. The ghosts that haunt me. Nights are the worst. When the world is quiet, and my son is asleep in the next room. The past creeps in like a slow-moving storm. I wonder what my daughters are doing. Are they laughing? Are they happy? Do they ever think of me, even if just to curse my name? Or am I truly dead to them? I think about picking up the phone, about dialing my ex-wife's number just to hear a familiar voice, just to feel something other than the hollow ache in my chest. But what would I even say? Please let me see them. Please, just one conversation. Please, tell them I love them. Would she listen? Or would she hang up the second she heard my voice? I don't call, because deep down I already know the answer. Part 12. A message from the past. Weeks pass. Then, one evening, while I'm washing dishes, my phone buzzes. A number I don't recognize. I dry my hands, my heart pounding in my chest, and open the message. It's from Sarah, my second eldest. Do you still live at the same address? That's it. No hi. No explanation, no warmth. Just a question. My fingers shake as I type back. Yes. The 3 dots appear, then disappear. She's typing. She stops. She's gone. I stare at the screen, waiting, hoping, but nothing else comes. I tell myself not to read into it, but I do. Part 13. A visitor at the door. The next day I can't focus. My mind keeps replaying the message over and over. Then, as the sun begins to set, my doorbell rings. My stomach tightens. I scoop up my son and walk to the door, trying to steady my breath. I open it, and there she is, Sarah. For the first time in over 2 years, my daughter is standing in front of me. She looks older, more grown, more like her mother. She's holding something in her hands, a small, worn envelope. She doesn't step inside. She doesn't smile. She simply extends the envelope toward me. "This is from all of us," she says, her voice even. "Read it." Then, before I can say a word, she turns and walks away. I stand there, frozen, the envelope trembling in my grasp. Part 14. The letter that changed everything. I don't open it right away. I sit on the couch, my son playing at my feet, and just stare at it. What could it say? Is it an invitation back into their lives? Or is it the final nail in the coffin? After what feels like hours, I finally tear it open. Inside is a handwritten letter, signed by all 4 of my daughters. I start reading, and with each word, my heart shatters. "Dad, we wrote this together because none of us want to say it out loud. We're tired of you reaching out. We're tired of you waiting for us to forgive you. We're tired of feeling guilty for not missing you. You weren't just our father, you were our role model. We trusted you. We loved you. We thought you were the one man who would never betray us. And then you did. You destroyed our family. You lied to Mom. You humiliated her. And then you replaced us. We don't hate our half-brother. He's innocent. But he's not our family. And neither are you. Please let us go. Stop waiting for us to come back. Because we won't. Goodbye. Sarah, Emma, Lily, and Grace." Part 15. The breaking point. I don't remember dropping the letter, but I must have, because the next thing I know, my son is picking it up, babbling, trying to hand it back to me. I take it, and I sob. Not just tears, not just sadness, but pure, gut-wrenching grief. I lost them, for good. Part 16. The only thing left to do. There's no coming back from this. No more letters. No more messages. No more hoping for a miracle that will never come. I let them go, because that's all I can do. But as I sit there, my son climbing into my lap, wrapping his tiny arms around me, I realize something. I still have him, and I will not make the same mistakes twice. For the first time in years, I stop chasing the past, and I start living for the future. Part 17. The weight of regret. Days pass, then weeks. I wake up each morning and tell myself the same thing. Focus on what you have, not what you've lost. Some days it works. Most days it doesn't. The letter sits in my bedside drawer, folded neatly but burned into my memory. I don't need to read it again. I see the words every time I close my eyes. But my son keeps me moving. He doesn't know the weight I carry. He doesn't understand why I stare at my phone, willing a message from one of his sisters that will never come. All he knows is that I'm his dad, and that has to be enough. Part 18. The unexpected call. It happens late one evening. I'm brushing my son's teeth, going through our usual bedtime routine, when my phone vibrates on the counter. I glance at the screen, and my heart stops. It's Emma, my 3rd daughter. For a moment I don't move. Is this a mistake? Did she call me by accident? Before I can overthink it, I press answer. "Emma?" My voice is barely above a whisper. There's silence. Then finally, "Dad." Part 19. A crack in the wall. She doesn't say much. Her voice is cautious, distant. I wanted to know if you got the letter." I swallow hard. "Yeah, I got it." More silence. Then, "Did you read all of it?" Something about her tone makes me pause. "Yes," I say slowly. "I read every word." She exhales, almost like she was holding her breath. "Good," she says. Then, even softer, "I just wanted to make sure." And then the line goes dead. Part 20. The hidden message. I sit there, phone in hand, replaying the conversation over and over. What was that about? Why would she call just to ask if I read it? I pull out the letter again, smoothing it out on my lap. I read it, and then I read it again. Then I see it. A tiny indentation at the bottom of the page. Something I didn't notice before. I tilt the paper under the light. And there it is, a single, faintly written word beneath all the signatures. Maybe. Part 21. A glimmer of hope. My hands tremble as I stare at the word. It's almost invisible, as if she wrote it at the last second, pressing just lightly enough that no one else would see. No one except me. Maybe. Not never. Not goodbye. Just maybe. It's not much, but it's something. And after everything I've lost, something is all I need. Part 22. What comes next? Emma broke the silence. That means something. But what? Is she doubting what she wrote? Is she second-guessing cutting me out? Or was it just a moment of weakness? A lapse in judgment that she already regrets? I don't know, and I won't push. But I do know one thing. She's not as sure as she wanted me to believe. And that gives me a reason to keep going. Part 23. The waiting game. Days pass, then a week. I don't reach out to Emma. I want to. I want to text her, to call her, to ask what she meant. But I know better. If I push, she'll retreat. If I demand answers, she'll lock the door. So I wait. Every time my phone vibrates, my heart jumps. But it's never her. Then, one night, almost 2 weeks later, I get a message. It's from a number I don't recognize. Meet me at the diner on 5th. Noon tomorrow. That's it. No name, no explanation. But I already know. It's Emma. Part 24. Face to face. I arrive at the diner early. Too early. The waitress recognizes me. You want your usual? I nod, even though I'm not hungry. My stomach is too knotted up. The doorbell jingles. I look up. Emma steps inside. She's different. Not the little girl I used to tuck in at night. Not the teenager who used to roll her eyes at my dad jokes. She's a woman now. Strong, guarded. She spots me, hesitates, then walks over. I stand, unsure if I should hug her. She sits first. I follow. And then we just stare at each other. Part 25. The first words. Emma breaks the silence. I didn't come here to forgive you. I nod. I know. She exhales, glancing out the window. I wanted to see you. I don't know why. I don't say anything. I let her speak. She taps her fingers on the table, nervous. Mom doesn't know I'm here. Okay. My sisters don't know either. Okay. She looks at me then, really looks. Her eyes aren't angry, just tired. You ruined everything, Dad. I swallow hard. I know. Part 26. The conversation I never expected. She folds her arms. I don't get it. Why? Why did you do it? The question I've dreaded for 2 years. The truth is, there's no answer that will ever be enough. But I owe her honesty. I was selfish, I say quietly. I was weak. I made the worst mistake of my life, and I can't take it back. Emma looks down. I loved our family, you know? I thought we were perfect. I feel something inside me crack. I did too. Her jaw tightens. Then why did you throw it away? I shake my head. I wish I had an answer that made sense. But I don't. For a long time, she doesn't say anything. Then softly, I miss you. Part 27. The first step. Those 3 words almost destroy me. I clear my throat. I miss you too, Emma. Every single day. She nods, biting her lip. I don't know if I'll ever forgive you. I don't expect her to. I don't deserve it. I admit. She looks down at her hands. But I don't know if I can hate you forever either. Hope. A fragile, flickering thing. I don't reach for it. I don't push. I just let it sit between us. Untouched. Part 28. A new beginning? The waitress comes by. Emma orders coffee. We talk. Not about the past. Not about what I did. Just small things. College. Work. Her friends. It's the first normal conversation we've had in years. Then, she glances at her phone. I should go. I nod. Okay. She hesitates. Then, she pulls out her wallet and slides something across the table. A crumpled receipt. With her number on the back. I don't promise anything, she says. But maybe we can talk again. Maybe. That word again. I grip the paper like it's the most valuable thing in the world. Whenever you're ready, I say. She nods once. Then, without another word, she leaves. And for the first time in years, I finally exhale. Part 29. The silence after the storm. Emma is gone. The diner feels quieter now. The murmur of conversations, the clinking of dishes, the smell of coffee. It all fades into the background. I sit there for a long time, staring at the crumpled receipt in my hand. Her number. A maybe. A second chance, no, a sliver of a chance to fix what I broke. I should feel relief, hope, something. Instead, I feel terror. Because now, I can't afford to mess this up again. Part 30. The question that won't leave me alone. For the next few days, I don't call her. I don't text. I want to. God, do I want to? But I also know that one wrong move could push her away again. Maybe for good. So I wait. And while I wait, I start to wonder. Why did she come? Was it really curiosity? A test? Did she just need closure? Or was she trying to see if there was anything left worth salvaging? The thought keeps me awake at night. Because if she's willing to try, if she's really willing, then I have to be a man worthy of that chance. Not just for her, but for all of them. Part 31. A message I didn't expect. 3 days later, I get a text. Not from Emma. From my ex-wife. We need to talk. That's it. No explanation. No hint of emotion. Just a simple, sterile demand. For a moment, I consider ignoring it. But I know better. If she's reaching out, it's for a reason. So I take a deep breath and type back. When and where? Part 32. Face to face with the past. We meet at a quiet cafe, far from familiar faces. She's already there when I arrive, sitting at a table in the back. She looks different, not just older, stronger, sharper, like a woman who's rebuilt herself from the ground up. When she sees me, she doesn't smile, doesn't frown either. She just watches as I sit down across from her. Neither of us speaks at first. Then, she finally says, Emma told me she saw you. Straight to the point. I nod. Yeah. Why didn't you tell me? I shrug. Didn't think it was my place to. She studies me. What did she say? I hesitate. Not much. She misses me. But she's not sure she can forgive me. My ex-wife exhales slowly, tapping her nails against the table. She's confused. Torn between hating you and missing her father. I don't say anything. Because she's right. She came home that night and didn't say a word. She continues. Just went to her room and locked the door. I heard her crying. But she wouldn't talk to me. That hits me harder than I expect. I swallow. I never wanted to hurt her. Then why did you? There it is. The question I'll never have a good enough answer for. Part 33. A line I can't cross. I look down at my hands. I was selfish. You were weak. She corrects. I nod. Yeah. Silence stretches between us. Then, she leans forward slightly. I didn't come here to rehash the past. What's done is done. I nod. But I need to know something. She continues. Are you actually serious about making things right? Or are you just feeling sorry for yourself? The way she says it, like she's daring me to prove her wrong, lights something inside me. Because for the first time in years, I know my answer. I want to fix this, I say firmly. Not just for Emma. For all of them. For as long as it takes. My ex-wife studies me for a long moment. Then, she leans back in her chair, arms crossed. Then don't screw this up. Part 34. The next step. She gives me something before she leaves. Piece of paper. It has the phone numbers of all 4 of my daughters. I'm not saying they'll answer, she says. But if you're really serious, prove it. Then, without another word, she walks away. I sit there, staring at the paper. The weight of it feels heavier than it should. Because now, I don't just have one door open. I have 4. And I don't know if I have what it takes to walk through them. Part 35. The first call. I sit in my car for nearly an hour, staring at the piece of paper. For numbers. For daughters who may or may not want to hear my voice again. I don't know which number to call first, or if I should even call at all. But then I think about Emma, how she showed up, how she wanted to hear me out, even if she wasn't sure she could forgive me yet. And I realize I have to try. So, before I lose my nerve, I take a deep breath, dial the first number, and press call. Part 36. The voice I haven't heard in years. It rings. Once, twice, 3 times. Then, just as I expect it to go to voicemail. Hello. My heart almost stops. I know that voice. I've known it since the day she was born. But now it's older, colder. Lena? I manage to say, my throat dry. Silence. I can hear her breathing, but she doesn't say anything. Then, what do you want? Part 37. A conversation that feels like a battlefield. I should have prepared for this. But nothing could prepare me for the sharpness in her voice. I clear my throat. I just wanted to talk. She scoffs. Now you want to talk? I swallow hard. I know I don't deserve a second chance. But you don't. She cuts in. That stings. But I don't hang up. I grip the steering wheel, trying to keep my voice steady. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just miss you. Lena exhales sharply, and for a second, I think she's going to hang up. But instead, she says something I don't expect. Did you even think about us? Her voice isn't as cold now. It's just tired. I close my eyes. Every day. Then why? I let out a breath. Because I was weak. Silence. Then in a whisper. Yeah, you were. She doesn't hang up. But she doesn't say anything else either. We just sit there, breathing into the phone, until finally, she mutters, I have to go. And the line goes dead. Part 38. A small crack in the wall. It wasn't much, but it was something. She didn't curse me out. She didn't hang up right away. She gave me a chance to speak. A small crack in the wall she's built between us. And maybe, just maybe, if I keep trying, I can widen that crack into something bigger. Maybe one day she'll actually want to listen. Maybe one day she'll even want to talk. But for now, I take what I can get. And I move on to the next number. Part 39. Call after call. The second number goes straight to voicemail. The third doesn't answer. But the fourth picks up. Dad. A lump forms in my throat. Yeah, sweetheart. It's me. And just like that, everything changes. Part 40. The conversation I never thought I'd have. Yeah, sweetheart. It's me. The words barely leave my lips before I hear the sharp intake of breath on the other end. For a second, there's silence. A long, aching pause. Then, why are you calling me? It's Grace, my second eldest. She sounds hesitant. Not angry. Not cold. Just uncertain. And that somehow makes it even harder. I grip the phone tighter, trying to keep my voice from shaking. Because I miss you. Because I want to fix this if I can. A scoff. You can't. She doesn't hang up, though, so I push forward. I know I can't undo what I did. I admit. I know saying I'm sorry isn't enough. But I need you to know that I never stopped loving you. Any of you. Another pause. Then softer now. You have a son. A statement. Not a question. I close my eyes. Yeah, I do. You replaced us. My heart clenches. No. Never. Then why does it feel that way? I exhale shakily, rubbing my temple. Because I made a choice that hurt all of you. And I hate myself for it. But that boy, he didn't replace you. He didn't take your spot in my heart. He's part of me like you are. Like Lena. Like all of you. She doesn't say anything. But I can hear her breathing. She's still listening. So I keep going. Part 41. The truth she needed to hear. Do you know what my biggest regret is, Grace? She hesitates. Cheating on Mom? That's part of it. I admit. But my biggest regret is that I let my own mistakes take me away from you. I should have fought harder. I should have called sooner. You should have never left in the first place. She snaps. And there it is. The anger I knew was buried under the surface. I take a deep breath. You're right. That catches her off guard. She doesn't respond right away, And when she does, her voice is quieter. Then why did you? The million-dollar question. I let my head fall back against the seat, staring at the roof of my car. I wish I had a good answer for you, I admit. But I don't. I was selfish. I was weak. I let myself believe in something that wasn't real. And by the time I realized the truth, it was too late. She exhales sharply. You mean when she left? Before that, I say quickly. Long before that. The moment I saw what I had done to you, to Lena, to your sisters. That's when I knew I'd ruined everything. I hear a sniffle. My chest tightens. Grace, I love you. I never stopped loving you. A beat. Then, barely above a whisper. I don't know if I believe you. Part 42, hope, even if it's small. My fingers tighten around the phone. I get it, and I don't expect you to believe me overnight. But can we start somewhere? Silence. Then finally, what do you mean? Can I call you again? She exhales. I don't know. Okay. I say quickly, not wanting to push. That's okay. But if you ever want to talk, I'll always answer. No matter what. Another pause. Then, okay. And just like that, the line goes dead. I let out a breath I didn't even realize I was holding. She didn't say yes. She didn't forgive me. But she didn't hang up right away either. And in this moment, I'll take what I can get. Part 43. The next call I need to make. I sit in my car for a while, staring at my phone. 2 numbers down. 2 to go. I don't expect the next one to go well. Mia, my third daughter, is the most like her mother. Fierce, strong-willed, unforgiving when she's been wronged. But I can't stop now, so I take a deep breath and dial. It rings once, twice, then, what the hell do you want? Yep, just as I expected. Part 44. A wall I might not be able to break. Mia. I start, but she cuts me off. Don't Mia me, she snaps. You don't get to say my name like you still have the right to. I close my eyes. I just want to talk. Well, I don't. I swallow hard. I miss you. Too bad. Sharp, cold, unrelenting. She's her mother's daughter through and through. I grip the steering wheel. I know you hate me. Do you? She interrupts. Do you really? Because if you knew how much I hate you, you wouldn't have called. That one stings. I feel it deep in my chest. But I don't hang up. I deserve that. I say quietly. Yeah, she snaps. You do. I exhale. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I just want to know if there's ever a chance. Even if it's years from now. She's silent. For a second, I think she hung up. But then, just before the call disconnects, I hope you never find peace. Click. And the line goes dead. Part 45. A step forward, a step back. I stare at my phone. The weight of her words settles over me like a stone. That was worse than I expected. And I expected it to be bad. But even as I sit here, struggling to breathe, I remind myself, I tried. That has to count for something. It doesn't fix anything. It doesn't make me feel better. But it means I'm not giving up. And one day, maybe Mia won't hate me anymore. Maybe. Part 46. The weight of silence. I sit in my car long after the call with Mia ends. The phone is still in my hand. The screen dark. My grip tightening and loosening as I replay the conversation in my head. I hope you never find peace. The words cut deeper than I expected. Not because I didn't see it coming. Mia was always the firecracker, the one who held grudges like a vice. But because for the first time in my life I truly believe she means it. She doesn't want an apology. She doesn't want to hear me out. She wants me to suffer. And the worst part? I probably deserve it. Part 47. A voice from the past. My phone vibrates in my palm, pulling me from my thoughts. A text. From an unknown number. For a second, my heart jumps. Could it be Mia? Could she have something more to say? I swipe open the message. It's been a long time. Can we talk? I frown, my pulse quickening. No name, no context. But I have a feeling in my gut. A twisted, uncomfortable feeling because there's only one person it could be. Her. Samantha. The woman I threw my life away for. Part 48. The ghost that won't disappear. I don't answer right away. Instead, I stare at the message, my mind racing. What does she want? Why now? She left. She left. She didn't fight for our son. Didn't fight for me. Didn't care enough to even try. So why is she reaching out now? I type and delete 3 different responses before finally settling on something simple. What do you want? I send it before I can second-guess myself. The reply comes fast. We need to talk. In person. I hesitate. Everything in me says no. But curiosity, no anger, pushes me forward. Where? Our old apartment. Tonight. I shut my eyes. She still calls it our apartment? Like it's some forgotten relic of a time that meant something? I grit my teeth. Fine. If she wants to talk, we'll talk. But I won't let her off easy. Not after everything. Part 49. The meeting I never wanted. The place looks the same. Run down. Dimly lit. A relic of bad decisions. I hesitate at the door before knocking. It swings open almost immediately. And there she is. Samantha. She looks different. Not worse. Just older. More tired. She steps aside to let me in. I don't move. I don't have all night, Sam. I say, keeping my voice cold. She flinches at the nickname. I know, she says. This won't take long. Across my arms. Then talk. She exhales, looking down at the floor. I want to see him. I stiffen. Who? I ask, even though I already know. Our son, she says quietly. Her voice cracks on the word our. Like she knows it doesn't mean anything anymore. Like she knows he isn't hers. Not anymore. Part 50. A request I can't grant. I let out a sharp breath. You gave up that right. I say, voice like ice. She looks up at me, eyes pleading. I was scared, okay? I made mistakes. I didn't know what to do. You knew exactly what you were doing. I snap. You left. You didn't even fight for custody. You ran back to your country and cut him out like he was nothing. She swallows hard. I regretted it, she whispers. I shake my head. Too little, too late. Her eyes well up. Please, just let me see him once, she says. I won't ask for anything more. I just need to. No. The word comes out before I can stop it. Because the truth is, I don't trust her. Not with my son. Not with anything. She can cry. She can beg. But I won't give in. Not this time. Part 51. The final blow. She wipes her eyes quickly, as if embarrassed. Then she looks up at me. You know, she says, voice suddenly calm. I always wondered if you loved me, or if I was just your excuse to get out of your marriage. Clench my jaw. You don't get to ask that. Why not? She presses. I think I deserve to know. I glare at her. Deserve? You think you deserve anything after what you did? Her lips press into a thin line. Then she shrugs. Maybe not, she admits. But you know what? I think we were both just using each other. And now we're both paying the price. I say nothing. Because she's right. I used her as an escape. She used me for money and security. And in the end, we both lost everything. Part 52. The door closes for good. She takes a shaky breath. I'll leave, she says. I won't contact you again. I nod, not trusting myself to speak. She hesitates. But if he ever asks about me, he won't. Her face crumples. I don't stay to watch. I turn and walk away, out of that apartment, out of that past. I don't look back. Not once. Part 53. The only thing that matters now. I sit in my car, gripping the steering wheel, my breath uneven. It's done. She's gone. For good this time. I pull out my phone, scrolling through the pictures of my son. His face, his laugh, his innocence. He doesn't need her. He has me. And for the first time in years, I know exactly what I have to do. I have to stop chasing ghosts. I have to be the father he deserves. And maybe, just maybe, someday my daughters will see that too. But for now, I have a son who needs me. And that's enough. Part 54. A life rebuilt, piece by piece. The weeks after my final conversation with Samantha feel different. lighter, like I finally let go of something I should have left behind a long time ago. She hasn't reached out again. No texts, no calls, no sudden messages begging for another chance to see our son. She meant it when she said she was leaving. And for once, I believe her. I should feel relieved. But a part of me still aches. Not for her. Not for what we had. But for the fact that my son will grow up without a mother. It's not fair to him. But fairness left my life a long time ago. Now, all I can do is focus on being the one parent he can always count on. Part 55. A message from the past. One afternoon, I get a message from an unknown number. For a second, my stomach drops. Samantha? No, it's Mia, my eldest daughter. The first message is short. We need to talk. I stare at it, unsure of what to say. I type a response. Delete it. Type another. Delete that too. After everything, what could she possibly want to say to me? Does she hate me more now? Has something happened? I take a deep breath and finally send a reply. Of course. When? Her response is immediate. Tonight. I'll come to you. My hands shake as I set the phone down. She's coming here. To my home. After years of silence, resentment, and anger, my daughter is coming back. Part 56. Face to face with the truth. That evening, I hear a knock at the door. When I open it, Mia stands there, arms crossed, her expression unreadable. She looks older, stronger, like a woman who has learned to carry her pain without letting it break her. Just like her mother, she steps inside without waiting for an invitation. She doesn't sit, doesn't move past the hallway, just stands there, staring at me. Finally, she speaks. I don't forgive you, she says. Her voice is steady, controlled, but there's something underneath it, something raw and vulnerable. And I don't know if I ever will. I swallow hard, nodding. I understand. She exhales sharply. Do you? Do you actually understand what you did to us? My throat tightens. I do, I say. And I know that nothing I say can fix it. She studies me for a moment, as if deciding whether or not to believe me. Then, she pulls something out of her pocket, a folded piece of paper. She holds it out to me. I hesitate before taking it. Unfolding it, I see it's a letter. A long one. My eyes skim the words, and my heart clenches. It's everything she's ever wanted to say to me. Every ounce of pain. Every sleepless night. Every moment of anger, confusion, and betrayal. I can barely breathe as I read it. You don't have to say anything, Mia says. I just needed you to see it, to understand. I nod, gripping the letter like it's the most important thing I've ever held. Thank you, I whisper. For a moment, it looks like she might say something else. But then she just nods and turns to leave. And I let her go, because I know this isn't the end. It's the beginning. Part 57. A Father's Last Hope. Over the next few weeks, I read the letter over and over. Each time, it hits me differently. Each time, I feel the weight of what I did to my daughters all over again. But buried between the lines of pain, I see something else. Hope. She wouldn't have come if she didn't still care. She wouldn't have written this if she had truly erased me from her life. So I write back. Not in a text. Not in an email. A real letter. I pour my heart into it, telling her everything I never had the courage to say. I tell her I love her, that I always have, that I never wanted to be the man who broke her trust, that I don't expect forgiveness, but I'll never stop trying to earn it. Then I send it, and I wait. Part 58, one step closer. A month passes, then another. No response. And then one night my phone buzzes. It's a picture, a photo of Mia and her sisters. No words, no explanation, just them, together, happy. I stare at it for a long time, my chest aching. And then, for the first time in years, I feel like maybe, just maybe, there's still a place for me in their lives. Part 59. Letting go and moving forward. Samantha never contacts me again. Mia and I exchange a few more letters, slowly mending what was broken. My other daughters don't reach out, but I remain hopeful. I focus on my son. on giving him the life he deserves, on being the father I failed to be before. One day I take him to the park. He runs ahead, laughing, his little feet kicking up dust. And as I watch him, I realize something. The past will never change. The damage can't be undone. But the future is still mine to build. For him, for me, and maybe, just maybe, for all of us. The end. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Your support means everything. See you in the next one.